Welcome to my video. This is Hawaii Knifing Gear Review. Today I'm sitting out at the beautiful Honolulu Harbor, and it did take me a little while to find a bench that didn't have any penises or profanity carved into it, but I wanted to sit down today and show you some of the new TwoSun knives that I've received in the mail recently. These are all very different designs, a couple different designers actually, but like every single TwoSun knife I've purchased, they are all really solid knives. They are well built, quality materials, and the price is just, it's unbeatable in my opinion. What you receive for the cost is just phenomenal. So I wanted to start with some of the knives that were made by Night Morning Design. This one is the TS48, and this is a knife that I've had previously. This is the second one I bought. This is a little hawk bill design. It's kind of on the smaller side, but it does fit okay in my hand. It's a little bit shorter than it could possibly be, but for a compact little knife, this would make a great garden knife, or if you do any kind of pruning or anything like that, it would be a very reasonable choice for that. It is solid titanium, nice milling on it. All of the blades here that I'm going to show you are all D2 blade steel, so I'll save from being redundant. I'm not really going to go into the specs too much on it, just kind of give you my thoughts and feelings on each one, and if you're really curious, you can always go online and pull up the specs yourself on each one. But I just wanted to show you some of these in case you hadn't seen them before or were curious about any of them. So the action on this knife is actually really nice. The first one that I brought in was a little bit tight, and after I received the second one, I realized it probably maybe just the hole for the detent ball was just a little bit sharp on one edge, so it didn't deploy easily, and that probably would have corrected itself after flipping it a few times. But I ended up selling that one before I had a chance to play with it too much, so I did bring in another one. This one works exactly like it should. Even if your fingers happen to be on the frame lock side, it still opens and closes really easily. So I am definitely very happy with this one. This is one that's going to stay in my collection. I like it. I'm going to keep this one. It does have a little choil. I think it would be a little hard to choke up on this knife, even though it's got nice jimping there, and it, as long as you put your finger on the flipper tab itself. But the choil is just a little small to get my whole finger in there comfortably. So, but it's kind of a short blade design anyway, so don't really need to choke up on it. But this is the TS48. So moving down the list of Night Morning designs, this is a new one for me that I have not had before, and I've had my eye on it for a while. This is the TS25. Very neat little design, very pointy, stabby type blade shape to it. I think the carbon fiber with the titanium gives it a really nice look. It's got a really comfortable feel to it. Actually, it fits perfectly in my hands. It's kind of a rounded profile a little bit to it, so it fills your hand really well. The action is really strong on this one. It pops out, flies out actually. This is a really good deployment. I haven't played with it too much, but I can definitely tell that this would be a one of the fun fidget type knives. It's just really easy to open and close and feels good in your hand. I think he did a really nice job on the pocket clip. This one actually goes in and out of your pocket very easily. I think the only thing that I might change on this is I would like to have had a hole for a lanyard. On the knives that I carry, I do like to put a lanyard on to make it easier to go in and out of my pocket. So that's about the only change that I would make on that. Other than that, I think this is a really cool knife, really great design. So this is the TS25. Next on the list of Night Morning designs, this is the TS27 and this is just a fantastic knife. This is actually the second one of these that I had. The first one I ended up trading to somebody who's in the process of making me a custom fixed blade knife, and I told him I'd give him one of his choice, and I had actually just gotten the TS27 previously, and he said that that's the one he liked, so ended up shipping that one to him, and he's gonna make me a fixed blade in exchange for it. So I did like it, and I kind of, you know, regretted it a little bit when he said that that's the one he wanted, so it took me a little while to get another one for my own personal collection, but finally got it in the mail and just absolutely love this design. It's super comfortable in your hand. Nice thumb ramp to it with perfect jimping. It feels really good in your hand. This is just a fantastic design. I can see why he wanted this one. Obviously, it makes a really excellent everyday carry, working type knife. And yeah, this one will probably make it into the rotation for me as far as stuff that I carry on a regular basis. The clip is really well designed. It's got the lanyard hole that I need to have. It just, you know, it hits all my points in what I would have for an everyday carry knife. So definitely extremely happy with this one. They actually do make an anodized version that comes anodized from the factory with kind of a tiger stripe design to it, which is really cool, and I'll probably end up getting one of those at some point too. I just absolutely love this design. This is the TS27. So moving down the list, the next one is from a different designer. This one's listed as KC Design, a designer from the United States. This is a little Cliff style. And I kind of won this one by accident on eBay. I had always kind of passed over this one. I just didn't think the design was for me. It's kind of an odd shape. It's an odd design as far as something that I would personally use for anything. So I never really ended up considering this one for purchase, but I put a bid on it for whatever reason and ended up getting it at a price that, you know, I was obviously comfortable if I put that bid on it. So when I ended up winning it for that price, I wasn't going to argue. So when it came in, I ended up liking it more than I thought I was going to be honest. It's kind of fun to play with. This one does have the cutouts on the blade here that you can catch with your middle finger, and you can spidey flick this one. So it's kind of a good little fidget toy. I'm not sure that I would ever carry it for any reason or really want to use it for anything, but as far as a, you know, kind of a novelty type knife, I do like it. I will keep it just for conversation's sake. It's a really well made knife. It's extremely sharp. It did a great job on the fit and finish of it. I think the only downfall is how far back the pocket clip sits on it. I did try and carry it for a day to see what I thought about it, and it just rides way too high in my pocket. I couldn't see myself having this thing with me every day, so it will probably stay as part of the collection just for novelty. But it's a cool knife. So moving down the list, this is another one that I had my eye on for a long time and wasn't ever sure if I was interested in it or not, but it was more of a curiosity thing. This one is a knife designed by Wang Denzin, and a very unique design to it. This is called the TS104. This is the Railway, and it does look like a train track. I wasn't considering even purchasing it, but I saw Wang himself had posted a video on Instagram of him playing with it and said that this is actually his favorite knife of all the ones that he's designed, so I figured I'd give it a shot. I got it for a really great price on eBay, so I couldn't pass it up. And it's unique in the fact that the opening and closing is at the bottom end of the blade, so it's kind of a different action to it. It doesn't actually have a point to the blade. It comes down to this finished concave design, and then the tip of it is actually the flipper at the bottom. This one is a liner lock, and it's neat that it all is very parallel, very straight lines to it. I actually saw another video where somebody was pushing right here to open it like that. It doesn't have a flipper tab, but you can actually push in on the back of the blade here and get it to pop out, and then just flip it open. So as far as a novelty, it's a cool knife. It's different. It's, you know, like all of theirs. It's well made. It's very sharp. Nice sharpening choil to it. The pocket clip on this one, while I thought it was going to be next to impossible to put in my pocket because of how flat the profile is, I was actually kind of surprised, because the inner cutouts here are cut in a little bit. You just kind of lift it up just a little bit as it goes in and out of your pocket, and it does actually go into a pair of jeans. Okay, not a problem at all. So I was pleasantly surprised with this one. I can see why Wong likes this one so much. It's a neat knife. It's different, not something you see every day. So this is the TS104 Railway. And the last knife on the list of new arrivals, this is one that just absolutely blew me away when I got it in. This is the TS84, and this one's called the Orca. It's a very large, heavy knife. This one, I believe the designer is Mazwan Mokhtar. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. This knife, honestly, I had seen it. It's been out for a while, and I just passed it over. Every time I was going through their list of stuff, it just never seemed like a shape that I would be interested in. I didn't like kind of how it started out really fat at the top and came down to this kind of small profile down at the bottom. It just didn't seem like a shape that I was going to like. But I ended up selling a knife to somebody on Instagram, and we got to talk, and he said that this is one of the ones that he was really interested in. I told him I would try and win one for him on eBay, and I did. I put a bid on it, got it for a decent price, and it just arrived yesterday, and I was absolutely wrong about this knife. It is phenomenal. This is one that I had really been missing out on. Super comfortable. It's got every feature that I like. It's got a nice big wide finger choil there, so you can choke up on it, which puts this big fat part of the knife right comfortable in your hand if you need to get in close for cutting stuff. Back here in the regular grip, it's just a really substantial knife. This is a hefty hunk of titanium and tool steel, and I absolutely love it. I am super glad that I put a bid on a second one, because I brought this one in for somebody, so this was pending to go back out the door, but I have another one on the way that will stay as part of my collection because I absolutely like this knife. I think probably one of my favorite things about this knife is the sound it makes when it locks up. It just has a really solid thunk to it when you open it up. It's a really heavy blade and super smooth. Very, very impressive knife. This thing punches way above its weight class. It just, as far as ergonomics are concerned, it feels really good in your hand. It's kind of got a stonewash titanium finish to it. Really beautiful piece of hardware and comfortable. Fits in your pocket perfect. Frame lock sticks up. It hits all the good points that I like in a knife, and yeah, I'm totally blown away. Don't know why I'd missed out on this one for the longest time, but I guess I made the correction, and I do have another one on the way. So the guy who's going to be receiving this knife, he's been eyeballing this one for a long time too, and you know, I really thank him for turning me on to it. I appreciate that. It's one that I would have been missing out on, but fortunately I ended up getting one and just totally in love with this knife. The sound of it is actually really close to the sound of the lockup on my favorite TwoSun knife. If any of you have seen any of my previous videos, you would know that the TS72 is my favorite TwoSun of all time. It's hands down just my favorite design they've ever come out with. I still am unsure who the designer is on this knife. I haven't been able to find that out. It's not listed anywhere, and this knife is actually discontinued. But the sound that this one makes when it locks up, because the blade is so big and heavy, it's just a nice thunk sound to it. It's substantial in your hand, and it feels good when you open it. It's kind of like a Zippo lighter. It just has that signature sound, and that I've flipped this knife hundreds of thousands of times probably at this point, and it sounds good every time I open it. Even the closing sounds good. So after getting the Orca, the sound is pretty similar. I could absolutely consider carrying this on a regular basis. It is heavy, but that doesn't bother me in a knife. I do like a nice hefty knife, so this is one that, you know, I hope it sticks around. I hope they don't end up discontinuing this. This is a great design. Anybody who, you know, goes for really high-end custom knives and spends $300 or $400 on a custom-made titanium folder, they would get this in their hand and they would absolutely be impressed. I'm sorry, you can say whatever you want about buying Chinese knives. This is a well-built piece of hardware. For the price that they're charging for these, I absolutely don't know how they can do it. I'm not going to argue. Their business model is their concern. I will support them. I will pay whatever the auction goes for on some of this stuff, but I've gotten great deals on a lot of their knives. I'm willing to pay, you know, what it takes to get the ones that I like, and this is definitely one that's worth more than they're charging. Absolutely. When they do a buy it now, they mark them up a lot higher than they go for at auction. Most of them are listed under auction though on eBay, so for the people who don't mind playing the eBay game, you can definitely get a good deal on some of these TwoSun knives. So that's what I got for today, guys. These are some ones that I wanted to show you, and yeah, I hope you enjoy. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments, and I hope to see you at the next video. Thanks.